Hello everyone, this is Angela here, and today I'm doing a video. Um, this video is going to be a recap of the Wicked Attraction series and Struggle to Go No Contact. There's been some important details that I left out because I forgot, it happened so long ago, and it was so traumatic, that chapter in my life and the struggle to go no contact, that I overlooked a really, really important detail in sharing my story and what had transpired. I also want to express how absolutely terrified everyone who lived in the house was at that time, rightfully so. And here is a brief overview of what happened. And this is a timeline overview. 2004, my mother hooks up with these neighbors, and there were three of them: Tito, Mohican, and Rini. And they all associated with each other, but they did not live together, okay? These individuals were involved in criminal drug dealing. And, my mother somehow attracted this guy, these people, and she went into a check cashing store down the street and cashed bad checks. My father was still alive. The owner of the check cashing place knew my father, and he informed my father that the checks were stolen and that if he didn't pay the $1,000+ to cover the amounts of those checks, that Bill was going to call the police. And so my father, being the enabler, instead of her facing justice for her crime, he paid the money. 2005, my father dies. And because of that tragedy, and because my mother was living in squalor, I made the very bad mistake of reconnecting with my narcissistic mother. She lives in my apartment, which was very small, and she created problems during that time, but not the type of problems that I was about to face in 2009 with her. Long story short, because this is a recap, move out of my apartment after cleaning up, her filthy house and repairing it. And it is now 2007, June 2007. Move out of my apartment into that house. A friend of mine had told me, I think it's a bad idea, the neighborhood's not good, and you shouldn't go there. But the point is, okay, that neighborhood was bad, yes. And I used very poor judgment because I underestimated how bad that neighborhood was. I didn't realize how bad that neighborhood was. And I used poor judgment because of my income level, and because I felt overwhelmed, and it's like I didn't have the money to go out and get a house or whatever. So I was like, it was supposed to be a temporary arrangement because that house was paid for, the mortgage was paid for. Anyway, point is, it was a financial motive, okay? And I used very poor judgment. I made a mistake. Bringing us there. Anyway, as I said, 2008. So in 2007, when we moved there, I discovered, okay, it's the summer of 2007, and I discovered that there's sliding locks on our bedroom doors. They were not like deadbolt locks, but they were like these sliding locks on the door. So I called the locksmith, and I had a locksmith remove them. And I, this guy Tito that my mother, insisted on associating with was the handyman who did work on the house, and he was bilking her for thousands of dollars. So then, my mother, so then 2008, in January of 2008, my youngest sister had broken up with her boyfriend in Wisconsin and ended up moving into our house. So that was another reason why I had to move out of my apartment, because, there was a housing situation at that time with my family, and I was overjoyed to have my sister back because she had been gone for 8 years, and I really wanted to have a relationship with her. There was that time between January and April of 2008 where I really wanted to reconnect with her because I hadn't seen her. She had run away. And I carry so much guilt because I was just so oblivious to the violent crime that was going to happen during the Wicked Attraction. And I feel that, this could all have been prevented if I just did not reconnect with her. So anyway, I'm getting pretty upset here. Sorry. So anyway, it's 2008, and everything, there was a brief hiatus of peace when my mother started going to the senior center, and when she met this old guy Chester, she was not so distracted with Tito anymore. And when I was, unemployed on unemployment, I was home, and I did not allow Tito around the house, okay? When she used to see Tito, she used to be very sneaky about it, because she was a sneak, a liar, and a backstabber, okay? Sneaking, lying, backstabbing was the adjectives that describe this bitch. Anyway, okay, so in order to get the full story, just you can watch the Wicked Attraction series. This is a recap, and I'm trying to keep this short and fill in the blanks, fill in the detail that I overlooked. And it's 2009. It's June. I am very much distracted and not paying attention to what is going on around me, because I had met my boyfriend. I had met a man in April, and we were going dancing, and we were going out, and I'm like trying to have somewhat type of a life. And one day, I don't remember which day it was. I believe it was a weekend, because it was the middle of the day. And it was about a month before the Wicked Attraction happened. Okay? Now, before I tell you that part, I had said in my story that Reenie, the guy Reenie, he had stolen my wallet. So that was one. So there was, remember, there's three of them: Tito, Mohican, and Reenie, and they were all friends. Okay? Reenie ripped off my mother with this stupid roof situation. He threw some tar on the roof and charged my mom $1,500, and there was nothing wrong with our roof. It was just a way to steal her money. And I tried to explain that to her, that he wasn't a professional roofer, but she decided to get him anyway. Okay? And he stole my wallet. So after he stole my wallet, he vanished because I was, because he knew that he was going to get locked up. So he vanished, okay? One of them was down. So one day, okay, this was 1 month before the Wicked Attraction, about 3 weeks to a month before, it's like the middle of the afternoon, it's Saturday, it's springtime, and I see all these flashing lights, and my mother's home, and I go outside to look to see what's happening, and here across the street, you see all of these black SUV type vehicles. There was that. Then you had like maybe 1 or 2 plain police officers, like Philadelphia police, and then I saw German Shepherd dogs. And then I saw one of the officers, and he had the jacket that said DEA on it. And I said, hey! I said to my mother, hey, come look at this! Look! Look! Here, DEA officers were going into the guy Mohican's house, Tito's buddy, and they locked him up for drug dealing. And I said, do you see what's happening across the street? I said, your buddy Tito's buddy, your wonderful friend Mohican is getting locked up for drug dealing. Okay? I said, stay away from these people. Didn't listen. Didn't listen. Fell on deaf ears. So what happened, and that's the part that I forgot, because it was just so traumatic, that whole period, chapter in my life. It's just like, my brain must have just repressed it. But now do you understand what caused the fight on, I believe it was Monday night, the 22nd of June, 2009, when I discovered she gave keys to this guy Tito, to our house, a drug dealer. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm screaming at her. What are you doing? You're putting our lives in danger. This guy got busted from the DEA, and now you're allowing this guy Tito to park his car in our garage. What the hell is wrong with you? And I'm screaming at her. He is a drug dealer. He could have drugs in that car. If the cops come, they're going to lock you up, and they're going to freaking take the house away from you. What is freaking wrong with you? Didn't listen. Didn't listen. Matter of fact, she went to court and accused me and my son of drug dealing. You know? And like I said, to be fair, you know, I told you that my next door neighbor had complained because my son had smoked a joint. My son, you know, behind my back smoked a joint, okay? And, but my son never dealt drugs. He used to go to, he was working all the time at the water rice factory and was never home, okay? Because the summer season was here. It was like he wasn't home. After my son got arrested, okay, now everybody knows the story. After my son got arrested on the 31st of July, 2009, I went back to the house to get the, and for one purpose only. And that was to get my clothes and things that I had left behind, because the only thing that was on my mind at that point was getting my son out of jail and getting the hell away from this bitch. That was the only thing that was on my mind. I could care less what happened to her at that point. I realized the peril and the danger that I had put my kids, and it was just the end. Okay, so I remember that evening after, because my son Frankie called me, and it was about 5 o'clock in the evening when he called me, and it had rained really bad. We had a nor'easter that day, because I'll never forget. I was standing on the on a platform with an overhead near a bank down in Center City, Philadelphia, and my son was like, "Patrick got arrested," and I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Patrick got arrested," and I just was enraged. Okay, I was just like, this is a never-ending horror story. So I go, my ex-husband took care of Patrick. He got him out of prison, but that didn't happen. He had to spend 3 days in jail because it happened on a Friday, okay, over the weekend, and he had to sit in jail over the weekend. So anyway, I go back to the house, and it's Friday night, and I don't remember if Michael was with me or not at that time. I would have to say he was not. I go, she's sitting outside on the porch. I get out of the car, and she's, "Oh, hi, Ange, how you doing?" Like, as if nothing ever happened. Okay, it was like, let's just pick up and forget about what happened and start over. And this woman was not in a state of psychosis where she did not understand what she was doing. Okay? I just stood there. I said, "Get away from me, bitch. Get away from me." And I brushed past her. I said, "I'm not interested in anything you have to say. I only came here to get my stuff. I'm leaving." So I picked up my stuff and I looked at my sisters, Jerry and Natalie. And my sisters were in, not Jerry so much, because Jerry did not have the cognitive ability to really grasp what was going on, but Natalie did. And she told me that she was scared. She told me privately, and she didn't know what to do. And I just told her to have her cell phone on her at all times, and to make sure that she would contact the police if anything happened. In the meantime, when I went into work, after I told my boss what happened, and that's what convinced my boss that we were in imminent danger, because I told him, I said, the DEA was arresting the neighbor across the street, and he was best friends with that neighbor, and that's why, now do you understand? That's why my boss reached out to the district attorney that was handling my son's case. He wanted to get their statements, my mother's statement, his statement, and that's when they contacted the FBI. Because there was a fear of imminent, life-threatening dangers. This was no child's play, okay? This was dangerous drug dealers. And drug dealers are very violent. They could come up and shoot you and kill you in a hot minute. We have clients that happened to, where, there was drug gang shootouts, and, we have homicide cases in the present day where that has happened, okay? And so my boss took it very seriously. And We got lucky. We got lucky. You know, as I said, law enforcement would not listen to me because I tried to talk to the police. I said, she's hanging with this guy. He's bad news, blah, blah, blah. You know what I was told? Well, she's the homeowner, ma'am. What do you want us to do? No crime is committed, and she's permitting this guy to come there. What do you want us to do? She's not breaking the law. My cries fell on deaf ears. So, as you know, point is, when that happened and Patrick got arrested and everything, like I said, that the only thing I was interested in was rescuing my sisters, rescuing my son, and getting as far away from this individual as I possibly could and going no contact. And, you know, for the full story, you could look at The Wicked Attraction. And that's it. But I just still feel very, very guilty for subjecting my sisters to that. And it's like, you know, I just want to say that my youngest sister was so traumatized by the event. She still psychologically has problems to this very day from the Wicked Attraction episode. And she's living in another state, totally no contact with my mother. My mother does not know where she lives, her phone number, anything about her. Total no contact. And if I try to bring up the subject matter of the Wicked Attraction with her, she refuses to talk about it. She does not want to talk about it. She cannot handle it. She became traumatized, and she didn't handle it well because she was recovering. First of all, she was recovering from being hit by a car, and she had some very, very significant injuries from that accident, life-threatening injuries, and to have to go through a Wicked Attraction, you know, at the course of her recovery, made it especially difficult for this woman, for my sister. And I don't see her anymore, except maybe once a year, twice if I'm lucky, when she comes to Philly for a visit. But she totally just ran away, and she doesn't. It's like she copes with it by not being around her past. And unfortunately, I'm a casualty of that because I can't reconnect with her. She can't handle it. Alright, I'm going to stop this video. Thanks for watching. And for the full story of The Wicked Attraction, please check out my series. And I hope that this clarifies the reason, you know, some things. Okay, everyone, take care.